Newer, Bethany, hello, I'm Sam. Lovely to have you in class with us this morning. So today for our slow burn flow, we are going to be looking, we did this yesterday when we looked at grounding, we're going to be looking at grounding again. So it's just a bit, I think that the morning's getting darker and things maybe like we need to ground, find our stability, find what feels good. So we're going to start this morning actually all the way on our back. So lying down in a nice shavasana to begin our practice. Suppose I've got my watch, so if I look at my phone, that will be why. So we'll come into our shavasana. Taking the legs a little apart, take the arms a little away from the body, allowing the eyes to close. And just take a couple of deep breaths. So we'll inhale deeply through the nose. And as you exhale, exhaling out through the mouth, just letting go of everything, sighing out. Becoming present in this moment, this morning. Taking another big deep breath, inhaling in through the nose. And exhaling out through the mouth. One last big breath in, inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. And then beginning to just come to a natural breath in and out through the nose. Allowing the body to settle into our shavasana. We need to feel that connection with the ground. Feeling every part of the body working from the feet upwards. It's contact with the ground beneath you with the mat. Allowing yourself to sink down into the ground. Fully relaxed to release this morning. Softening the face a little, softening the gaze behind the eyelids, between the brows, the mouth and jaw. As we said yesterday, there's two different ways of looking at our grounding. The first way, which can be very helpful in yoga, to look at the physical grounding aspect. So our feet in contact with the floor, our hands in contact with the floor, our body in contact with the floor. What we ask you today is just tap into that connection. But the other way to think about our grounding is about what mentally grounds us in our practice. This is grounding as in everyday life. I'd like to think of three things that ground you mentally. So for instance, it can be big things, it can be like family, friends, fitness. It can be tiny small things like your first cup of tea in the morning, that would definitely be my mom. Anything big or small, just the three things that really ground you, really help to center yourself. Once you have them, just take one of those things and begin to strongly visualize, maybe making it into a moving image, and allow that to come to the front of your mind. And begin to take another big deep breath, inhaling in through the nose, and out through the mouth. Coming back. That inhale, exhale through your nose, maybe taking this a little bit longer now. Begin to balance the breath between the inhale and the exhale, balancing the length. You can begin to open the eyes, fluttering them open, and taking the soles of the feet onto the floor. So drawing the knees up towards the ceiling, soles of the feet on the floor, feet hip width apart. We're going to draw the right knee in towards the armpit, give it a little bit of a hug, give it a squeeze, and then take the right arm inside the knee. Grabbing hold of either the ankle or the outer edge of the foot, and then beginning to lift the sole of the foot up towards the sky. So we're coming towards a half happy baby here. Every exhale, think about drawing the knee closer towards the armpit, opening out our hips a little, taking the elbow out towards the side, deepening this half happy baby. Taking 2 deep breaths in, inhaling and exhaling. 1 more deep breath, inhaling. And then as you exhale, we'll take that ankle, the right ankle, onto the left thigh. So it can be close towards the knee. And then begin to draw the left knee in towards you. You can interlace the hands behind the thigh, or if your hips feel nice and juicy this morning, you can even go over the shins. That might be a bit much, but just right to the start of the practice. Take a big deep inhale and a big deep exhale. And then beginning to straighten this left leg. Straightening up towards the ceiling. You can flex the toes, you can point the toes, whichever feels good for you. Take a big deep inhale and reach the foot higher up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, drawing the foot towards the head. 1 more deep breath in. Inhaling. And exhale, reaching the foot over. Last big inhale, lifting all the way back up. And on the exhale, place the sole of the foot back down to the floor. Keep the right ankle on the left thigh. I'm going to take the arms out into a T shape. And from here, we're just going to flop the left leg all the way over onto the floor so that this right sole of the foot hits the floor. So coming into a gentle twist. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, looking over towards the right hand side. You can begin to even encourage that right knee slightly away from you. You might feel that quite strongly in the upper thigh. So just do what feels right, what feels comfortable for you. We'll take 2 more deep breaths here, inhaling and exhaling. Last big breath, inhale and exhale. Looking back up towards the ceiling, engage the core and we'll lift all the way back to center. Release the right foot down onto the floor. Just take a moment here with the feet grounded down, just to feel the difference, if there's any difference between the 2 hips. And then we can begin to draw this left knee in towards the armpit. And then taking the arm to the inside of the leg, grabbing hold of the shin, the ankle, the outer edge of the foot. And then beginning to lift that foot up towards the ceiling. Take a hand back to the belly or just to the side of the body. And as you inhale, think about lengthening through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, begin to draw that knee further down towards the armpit. Maybe allow this elbow to go a little bit outwards. Take 2 more deep breaths in, our half happy baby. Inhaling. And exhaling. Last big breath. Inhale. And exhale. As you inhale, releasing that ankle all the way onto the right thigh. From here, take a big inhale. And as you exhale, begin to draw that knee in towards you, drawing the right knee in towards you, interlacing the hands around the thigh, or maybe the shin, seeing which feels right for you. And breathe here. Drawing the knee a little bit closer. And on your next inhale, we'll lift that leg nice and high, so straightening the right leg. You can either flex through the foot or you can point the toes, whichever feels right. So taking a moment here. As you inhale, really think about lengthening through this leg. And as you exhale, think about breathing the foot towards the head. Keep the left ankle slightly locked, so the left foot is flexed here. Last big breath, inhale. As you exhale, fold this foot over towards the head. And then from here, we'll release this foot all the way down towards the ground, release the hands. And then take the arms to a T shape. And releasing the leg all the way over to the right hand side. So the sole of the foot goes onto the floor, reaches the floor. We'll come to a gentle twist. Inhaling here. On an exhale, looking over towards the left hand side. Thinking about maybe push this knee slightly further away from you. Just where it feels mindful, that feels good. We'll take 2 deep breaths here. Inhaling. and exhaling. Last big breath, inhale. And exhale. As you inhale, looking back towards the ceiling, engage the core and lifting the legs back to normal. We'll take that left foot down onto the ground. And from here, just taking the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. So you can take the feet a little further away from you now, but keep the soles of the feet to the floor. And then reaching up as far as you can towards the ceiling, begin to lift the shoulders off the ground. Hold here for a second, big deep inhale. And exhale. And then taking the arms towards the sides of the body, we're going to creep upwards to a seated position, but as slowly as we can. So with as much control as possible, we begin to lift all the way up to seated. Good. Then we can cross the legs over and roll over onto all fours. So in your all fours, make sure that your wrists are directly onto your shoulders. Making sure your hips are your knees are directly into your hips. And we'll move through our cat-cow. You can tuck the toes or release the toes. As we inhale, drop the belly down towards the mat. Drop the chest between the shoulder blades, draw the shoulder blades back, and lift the gaze to the horizon. As you exhale, press through these hands. Begin to round the spine as much as you can, releasing the head. The gaze looks between the thighs. And keep moving here within your own breath. Taking big, deep exhale, inhales and big, deep exhales as we flow through our cat-cow this morning. If there's anything you want to do, if there's any circles you want to take, if you want to make these bigger or smaller, please feel free to kind of see where your body wants to go, how it wants to feel. Good, lovely. Just taking a few more here. So if you've gone in one direction with your circles, changing sides, changing direction. We're going to really connect with the breath. And then we'll come to stillness. We're going to take the hands a little bit further forward, tuck the toes under if they're not already, send the hips back towards the heels, press through the fingertips and press through the palms, engage the core and let's lift the hips all the way up to the ceiling. From here, looking between the thighs, begin to walk the dog out, taking one heel down, taking the other heel down. Maybe drawing the chest through as well. Creating quite a big walking dog. Seeing what feels right for you. And as we're in this pose, let's come back to that kind of grounding feeling. Connecting with the mat, 4 points between the hands and the feet. Taking a couple more breaths in your downward facing dog. Maybe making this a bit slower when you're walking your dog out. Really staying on one leg for a moment and then staying on the other. Keeping the gaze soft. And then we'll begin to come to stillness in your downward facing dog. As we do that, lift the heels off the ground. So we're just going to be on the toes. Even if you can get the heels on the ground, you're going to lift onto the toes. Spread the toes out. And then begin to, as if somebody's pulling your hips upwards, lift your hips as high as they possibly can go. So the chest naturally kind of draws through towards the thighs. Press through the hands and think about the shoulder blades drawing away from each other. They're drawing away and kind of wrapping around the front of the body. Keep the gaze soft, keep the head and neck soft. Keep lifting those hips and think about pressing slightly through the feet and through the hands. So we're really starting to gauge into that floor, into the mat. And then from here, begin to straighten the legs if they're not already. So we need to keep that straightened through the legs, keep the chest moving through. And then on an exhale, begin to release the heels down to the floor. Don't worry if they get far or they don't get very far today. That's not a problem. Just keeping these straight legs, keeping the chest moving through. I'm going to hold 3 deep breaths here. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling. And exhale. Lower the heels slightly, draw the chest through. Last big breath, inhale. And exhale, drawing the heels closer to the ground, drawing the chest through. And then from here, bend the knees, come right onto the heels, look forwards. And we're just going to step the right foot forward, step the left foot forward.
Begin to let the backs of the hands dangle onto the floor. Let the head be heavy and just take a little sway through the body from side to side in your forward fold, your released forward fold. Take a couple of deep breaths here. So you can slow this down, you can make this faster. Just following the body's intuition of what feels right. And then coming back to stillness. From here, let's roll all the way up to standing. And once we're in our standing position, just take the hands all the way up towards the ceiling, gazing towards the thumbs, and then drawing the hands down the central line, coming to stand at the top of the mat. You can take the feet together or the feet hip distance apart, whichever feels right for you. Let's stand in our Tadasana, pressing down through the feet. Engage into the belly. Draw the shoulders down. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Really strong mountain pose here. Inhale, lifting the hands all the way up to the ceiling. Gaze to the thumbs. Lift these fingertips as if they're being pulled upwards. And then exhale, folding forwards. Take the whole palm to the floor. Bend the knees as much as you need. Look between the knees. Begin to lift the hips up, up, up with the palms pressing down. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, palms down, step back. We're coming through our Vinyasa. So either option to take your knees down to the floor, rocking forward slightly, or coming all the way down, halfway. And then we lift either to your baby cobra or your upward facing dog. Either way, we want to draw this chest through, draw the shoulders back, press through the toes. And then releasing the chest down, tuck the toes under. Let's hop back into our downward facing dog. From here, stay for 2 deep breaths. Inhale, lift the hips, draw the chest through. One more deep breath here, inhaling. And exhaling. On an inhale, we're going to press through that right foot and lift the left leg to a 3-leg dog. Begin to stack the left hip on top of the right. So we're coming to a hip opener here. Breathe. Think about the chest remaining in alignment with the mat. But don't worry too much about that. It will skew it slightly. And then begin to release the chest a little over towards that right hand side. Take the right heel down towards the bum, towards the left bum. Opening these hips up. So you can straighten through the left leg a little bit more, lifting the right knee higher and higher. Inhale and exhale. On the next inhale, begin to straighten the leg and then take the hips back to square. Let's bend through this left knee. Look between the hands. Draw the right knee towards the chest. Hold for a second, and then place this foot through. Look back. You can either have your feet on train tracks, so about the width of your hips, or for an added challenge for your balance, you can take them in line with each other. So the heel is aligned with the back toes. That's going to be quite a challenge for your balance. Engage through the corners. We inhale, we're lifting upwards. We're going to hold our lunge here. So lifting the hands nice and high. You can take the hands together, lifting the index fingers, clasping the hands, interlacing them. And then exhale, drop the hips slightly down. Just looking at your posture, keep your hold here. Just looking at your posture, making sure that that right knee is on top of the ankle and that we're really pressing the back of the left knee up towards the ceiling. Keep lifting upwards, nice and strong. And as every exhale, let's drop the hips slightly more. Good, really nice, lovely. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, draw in through the core. And exhale, lower the hips. Inhale. And exhale, we have 3 more breaths here. Hold on, inhaling. And exhaling. Inhale. And exhale. Last big breath, inhale here. As you exhale, take the hands to heart center, draw the elbows kind of close towards each other and begin to twist to the right hand side. From here, we're going to draw this left elbow to the outer edge of the right knee. Then from here, we grab hold of the thigh. You can begin to draw the belly up slightly and then drawing this elbow, the left elbow down towards the ankle. Placing both hands together at heart center, looking up towards the ceiling into a reverse side angle. If this is too much, you can place the knee down towards the floor. Otherwise, try to hold it. Try to lift the back of the knee up, 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 up.
Inhaling. And exhaling. Lovely. Yeah, perfect, Bethany. Any variations you want to do? Great. Inhaling. And exhaling. If you want to get fancy as well, if there is a bind within your practice, you can always do a bind. That'll be quite hard on reverse. Inhaling, lovely, yeah, great. Yeah, it's hard. Good. We've got 3 more breaths here. So try to kind of keep this pose in its integrity, inhaling and exhaling. Lovely, beginning to twist a little more towards the ceiling. Inhale. And exhale, really well done. As we inhale, lifting all the way back into our lunge pose. From here, we're going to take this back foot in slightly. We're going to straighten this right leg. So we're coming towards our pyramid pose. For this one, what we want to do is we want to test our balance a bit. We want the right heel to be in line with this back arch of the foot. So the back foot should be about 45-degree angle. Draw the right hip back, draw the left hip forward. From here, either we can take all the elbows behind us, or we can come into reverse prayer, where we move the hands up between the shoulder blades and then place the palms together. Either way is fine. Let's inhale, lift the chest up towards the ceiling. Keep both legs straight, keep them hugging towards each other. On the exhale, let's fold forwards. Gaze towards the toes, lengthen through the crown of the head as much as you can. Inhaling and exhaling. Keep your hold here. Inhaling. Lovely. And exhaling. Great. Gaze to the toe. Inhaling. Draw the core in slightly. And exhale. Fold. Every inhale, lengthen through that head as much as you can. And every exhale, we fold a little bit more. Really great postures. Lovely, Bethany. Lovely, Julie. Billy, Nick, I can't see you, but I'm sure you're doing a fantastic job. Good. Just a couple more breaths here. Inhaling. And exhaling. Last big breath, really folding as much as you can. Inhale, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And exhale, fold, fold, fold. As we inhale, we're going to engage the core, lift all the way up, taking the hands all the way to the ceiling. And then from here, lifting that back heel. And let's take the hands down to the ground, stepping back, moving through your vinyasa. So options of choice, coming halfway in our chaturanga, lifting to our upward facing dog, or coming all the way down, coming to a baby cobra. Exhale to our downward facing dog. Let's hold for a second. Inhale. Come back to our downward facing dog as a resting pose. Lift the hips nice and tall. Draw the chest through. And think about dropping the heels towards the ground. Just don't worry where you're at with this. Really think about the chest moving through and giving some height to the hips. 2 more deep breaths here. Inhaling. And exhaling. Last big breath. Inhale. Exhale. Draw the heels down as much as you can, drawing the chest through. And then from here, you're going to place that energy, placing the weight into the right foot. You need to lift the left leg nice and high. So starting with that 3-leg dog, aligned with the mat, and then we'll begin to stack the left hip on top of the right. Trying to maintain the shoulders, just for a moment, in line with the mat. And then we can begin to release the shoulder a little more towards the left-hand side, dropping that left heel towards the right bum. So really opening it out into a big, juicy hip open here. Lifting the knee as tall as you can, pressing through that back of the right knee. Press through the hands, drawing the chest through. Big, deep inhale. Big, deep exhale. On the next inhale, begin to straighten that leg. Begin to align the hips back, in line with the mat. And then bending the right knee. Draw the left knee towards the chest. Hold for a second, inhale. On the exhale, place that foot all the way through. We're going to lift to our lunge. So if you want that balance challenge, you can take them in line with each other, the feet in line with each other. Otherwise, take them hip distance apart. Inhale, lift. So remembering in our lunge, what we want to do is we want to have a really nice wide, long stance. And we want this knee to be stacked on top of the ankle. Press through the back of that right knee. So lifting it up so it's nice and straight. And then we're going to drop the hips down. Holding here. Inhaling. And exhaling. Lovely. Keep going. Keep the integrity of the pose. Draw the core in.
Yeah, navel to spine, lovely. Lifting those hands nice and long. If you want, you can even practice with looking upwards towards the hands. I'm going to give you an additional balance challenge. Lovely. Inhaling. And as you exhale, drop the hips slightly more. As you inhale, think about pushing through that back knee. Good. Very good. We'll just do 3 more breaths here. Inhaling. And exhaling lower. Inhale. And exhale. Last big breath. Inhaling deeply. As you exhale, draw these hands to the heart center. And then we're going to place this right elbow onto the left, outside of the left knee. Take the left hand onto the thigh and just suck the stomach inwards. So lifting the belly slightly off the thigh, sucking the belly in, and then begin to lower this elbow down towards the ankle, taking both hands together, palms to the center, drawing towards the heart center as we twist towards the ceiling. Keep thinking about that back knee drawing up towards the ceiling. If you do need to take the back knee down, please feel free. Otherwise, see if we can hold it here. Lengthening through the crown of the head. And then exhaling and twisting towards the ceiling in our reverse side angle. Good. So playing with any option that you want as well. Great, really lovely. If you want to try for that bind, have a little go. It can be a bit tricky, that one. Sometimes you need a belt to help you, to assist you. Good. We'll take 3 more deep breaths here. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling. And exhale, twist. Last big breath. Inhale. And exhale. As you inhale, engage through the core. Let's begin to lift all the way up through our lunge. And then take that back foot in slightly and taking both legs to straight. From here, let's take the back foot so the arch of the foot is in line with the heel of the front foot to really give ourselves a balance challenge. And then begin to draw this left hip back, right hip forwards. Either take hold of the elbows. If you're doing that, take hold of a different elbow this time, a different way. Or coming to reverse prayer. Wherever you are, let's lift this chest up towards the ceiling. Straighten both legs, hug the thighs together. As you exhale, reaching forwards, forwards, forwards with a flat back. And we'll take the gaze towards the toes. And we're holding here in our pyramid. Inhaling, lengthen through the crown of the head. Gorgeous. And as you exhale, fold more. Beautiful. Fantastic posture. Good. Inhaling. And exhaling. Just got 3 more breaths here. Inhale. As you exhale, fold a little more. Last big breath. Inhaling. And exhale. As you inhale, engage the core, lifting all the way back up to standing. From here, taking both arms up towards the ceiling, take the back heel off the ground, bend this front knee, taking the palms to the floor. Step back, working through your vinyasa of choice, and we'll meet back in a downward facing dog. Good. From here, we're going to look towards the hands and bend the knees. And we're just going to take this right foot forwards. And then from here, we're going to begin to wiggle around so we're coming to a wide forward fold, so that we're facing the long side of the mat. So if you want to kind of change position for everything to see, that is fine. Please do so. So both feet are parallel with the short edges of the mat. Press through the outer edges of those feet. And then from here, just begin to press into the inner as well. So we're really creating balance in the feet. Taking the fingertips to the floor, we're going to inhale, look up. So we're coming towards this flat back. And as you do this, I want you to try and come forward slightly. So there's more weight coming onto the toes than necessarily the heels. So you may feel a little off balance. Inhale, lengthen. And as you exhale, take the palms to the floor. And then see if you can walk the hands backwards. So the heels of the hands are coming in line with the heels of the feet. Fingertips stay the waist of the toes. And then again, see if you can press slightly more through the toes, so that you feel like your balance is going more to the toes and the heels, and release the head down to look through. Keep both legs nice and straight, really engaged in your forward fold. So this is a time when we have a tripod headstand in your practice, so please feel free to come up to a tripod headstand, see if you can press up through that wide leg. Otherwise, we stay in our forward fold. Inhaling deeply
and exhaling. As we're in our fold, just coming back to that grounding. So thinking about those 4 points, your head may even be on the floor at this point. So if it is, maybe make your stance a little narrower, but really feeling through the hands, through the feet, beneath you, and then come back to that visualization of the one thing that mentally grounds you as well, and clock back into that visualization as you're here, as you're upside down. Breathing deeply. Take 2 more deep breaths here, inhaling and exhaling. Last big breath, inhale. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, come up halfway onto the fingertips. Taking the hands to the hips. Exhale here. And then on the next inhale, we'll lift all the way back up. Good. Taking this right foot forwards, let's windmill the hands over. Final vinyasa, coming all the way back, taking the vinyasa of choice. Meeting back in a downward facing dog. And then once you come to a downward facing dog, you can just take the knees down towards the floor. From here, we're going to release all the way down onto our front. Let's finish with 2 more restorative poses. So we're coming to our Sphinx pose. So for our Sphinx pose, we want to be on our forearms. The elbows are shoulder width apart and directly under the shoulders. Palms facing onto the floor, and we press down through the toes. Draw the core inwards and lift the chest through. So really kind of peeling this chest through. The gaze just goes in front of us, or it can even look down towards kind of just above where the fingers are. So I want a more released neck, so not trying to look upwards. And as we're here, whilst it's a more restorative pose, and you can fully become passive in this pose if you'd like, if you'd rather. Otherwise, really do think about pressing through the toes, drawing the core in, and peeling this chest upwards. Let's take 3 deep breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling here and exhaling. Last big breath, draw the chest through, inhaling and then exhaling. From here, soften through the body. We're going to come all the way back onto our knees and then draw the knees in slightly, keep them hip width apart, and we'll come into our puppy pose. So we want to take the hands onto the floor, lift the elbows off the ground, and then adjusting to what feels comfortable for you. So the main thing is you want the hips on top of the knees. So they're not going too far forwards or too far back. And then from here, whatever feels good, you begin to draw the chest towards the ground. So really dropping this chest down. If you're quite flexy, if that's okay for you, and your chest is really low down, you can pop the chin onto the floor. Otherwise, maybe we just take the forehead down or we keep the head lifted. Press through the hands a little. Inhale. And every exhale, really think about drawing this chest through. Holding here for about 4 breaths in our puppy pose. Inhaling. So this is a really big shoulder opener. It's actually almost less about a back bend. It's a lot more about opening up through our shoulders. 3 more deep breaths. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling here. And exhale. Last big breath. Inhale fully. As you exhale, really drawing the chest down towards the ground. And then as you inhale, engage the core, begin to lift back up. From here, let's take the knees wide, take the big toes together, drop the hips back. As a little bit of a rest like from the puppy pose, it can be nice to take the arms to the side of the legs as we come down into child's pose. If you do want to take them in front of you, that's fine. Or you can take them one hand on top of the other and rest the forehead on top of that. Taking whichever feels good for you. You can begin to close the eyes here. Think about the weight, the hips dropping back onto the heels. Allowing the chest to be heavy. Allowing the arms to be heavy. Giving a nice deep breath. Maybe you can feel the ribs moving against the thighs, the belly moving against the thighs.
And then if your head is in one direction, just changing that direction, so taking the head over to the other side. And then beginning to take the hands onto the floor, slowly lifting yourself back up into your seated position. Let's come back to lie onto the floor. So we're going to end in bridge pose. So you have an option here. You can either do bridge or you can come into a wheel. We're just going to do this once. So take the option that feels right for you this morning. We take the palms to the ground. Make sure that you can feel the heels with the middle fingers and the feet are hip width apart. Whichever way we're doing this, I want to imagine that we've got a block between the thighs, the feet are parallel. And we begin to lift the hips up towards the sky into our bridge. If you're staying in your bridge, then we can stay here. If you're coming to a wheel, you can place the hands either side of the head and begin to push through the hands, lift onto the head, and then lift all the way up into your wheel pose. If you're staying in your bridge, maybe interlace the hands underneath the body, shuffling the shoulders underneath you. Begin to press the hands towards the ground as we lift the hips nice and high, lifting the chest up too. Keep that block between the thighs, so we're still kind of squeezing towards that block with the thighs. Good, lovely, everybody. Taking a big, deep inhale here. Big, deep exhale. Great. Lovely. Oh, lovely, Bethany. Great, so think about pushing that chest through, so it's going towards the hands. Inhaling. And exhaling. Good. Last big breath here, inhale. And as you exhale, you can release the hands apart from each other, slowly making your way all the way down to the floor. And then from here, we're just going to take those hands all the way back up to the ceiling. And then drawing shoulders off the ground. And then again, taking these hands either side of the legs. Slowly, with as much control as possible, we lift all the way back to seated. And we'll take a released forward fold just to finish, just to counter and neutralize the spine. So take the knees off the ground. You can grab hold of the elbows underneath the knees. And then from this position, we begin to draw the heels forwards. Let the head fully release down. And just taking a few moments, a few breaths here. You can begin to come back to the neutral breath, neutral breathing. Maybe closing the eyes. Allowing yourself to be heavy. And using the ground as a friend. Allowing gravity to do its work. And you to just fold on top. Then slowly begin to open our eyes. And we'll begin to come to lie all the way back in our Shavasana. All the way. So lie down if you want anything under the knees, if you want to grab a jumper, anything at all. If you want to take legs up the wall instead, take whichever variation works for you this morning. And wherever you are, just beginning to close the eyes. We started the practice this morning thinking about our grounding, and as we finish in our Shavasana, let's come back to that intention, back to that practice. As we lay in your Shavasana, looking through from the feet all the way through to the head, as points of contact with the floor. At each point of contact, allow the body to soften a little more. To fully let the ground support you, and to feel that connection even more with the floor beneath. As we lie in our Shavasana, we feel these points of contact beneath the body. You can begin to imagine that maybe you're somewhere different than you are right now.
feels safe and warm for you. It could be a forest floor, it could be a beach, it could be anywhere at all. Be somewhere you went on a favorite holiday or in childhood. You need to soften into those new surroundings. And as you do so, maybe getting the dirt beneath your fingers, sand, begin to come back to those three things that mentally ground you as well. Visualize the three. And picking your favorite, hold that visualization. And slowly begin to come back into the space, into your surroundings. Begin to deepen the breath, taking a big deep inhale. Big deep exhale out through the mouth. Next inhale, wiggling the fingertips and the toes. Bring some life back into the body. And exhaling. And inhaling and taking a full body stretch. Bring the arms up over the head to the floor behind. Stretching out. And as you exhale, draw the knees in towards the chest. Give a soft squeeze. And slowly from here, rocking over onto one side of the body. Taking the arms a cushion to the head. Staying here for a moment. And in your own time, making your way back to a comfortable seated position. Re-closing the eyes if they have open, and taking the hands to heart center. Just inhale and lengthen through the crown of the head. Making ourselves as tall as possible. And then on the exhale, just softening through that. Taking the head down to meet the hands, and fluttering the eyes open.